Pull up a chair, get comfortable.
I came here to have a good time today. I came here to have fun with friends.
You like that nerd speak.
3, 2, 1, 0. Nice to be in orbit.
And now we wrap up episode 1 of season 1 with these philosophical musings. Am I the Alyssa Milano character from Charmed? Is Wong Chu a stakeholder? Is there any denying Jeff Bridges is indeed a silverback? Enjoy. Well, that is that word again that I brought up earlier, which is foreshadowing, because we're going to talk about that in much greater detail in episodes 3 and 4. But specifically to the question of, is Wong Chu actually a stakeholder? Aside from his perception as such, because, in the project world, you would consider him the project sponsor.
Yep.
So he's the one that's saying, here's what I want, go do it.
Yep.
I would say, for me, he is not a stakeholder purely within the narrow context of the actual development that happens. So, in other words,
Interesting.
if you have a project sponsor who says, go do something, and everyone, not to say that this is what happens to Wong Chu, powerful warlord, not someone to be mocked or have laughter at his expense behind his back, but if in what's the word I'm looking for? Fictional, and more fictional than comic books.
Well,
I'm making a face.
Comic books are famously half real, so.
I like the half real part.
And the half that's real and the half that isn't, that's up to you to decide.
That's true.
That's your own journey.
So if you had a project sponsor who said, go off and do this, but then that project sponsor leaves the company and you wind up going off and doing something different, I'd say they had ceased to be a stakeholder once the original plan or vision is taken out of the picture. Whether through change of business environment or person leaving the company, whatever it might be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Carl, weigh in here, man. This is important.
Yeah, because I disagree with you on that part, just because.
That's our first disagreement, guys.
I know. Shots fired.
It's okay. I'm here for mediation if required.
I'm using my inside voice.
Remember, we were just holding hands, so calm down.
Literally singing Kumbaya.
Did I just rupture the Triforce? Is that what I did?
You really might have. It remains to be seen.
I think as part of our
Stay
healing.
tuned for episode 7 to see if we make it through the season.
You know what? I think as part of our healing process, we should just hold hands again and watch Charmed, and then we'll just watch ourselves.
Wow, Charmed.
Yeah, did you hear that?
The entire universe of television shows that you could have chosen.
Hey, I'm just talking about 3 women, 3 sisters, 3 hands.
That's us.
Healing process.
That's us, by the way.
That's
We're the
us.
3 women, 3 sisters.
We're the charmed ones, apparently. And
All right,
just
having never watched Charmed, I'm not even going to venture which one of the 3 I am.
We'll figure it out.
But based on the way that their lives have turned out, I'm going to hope that I'm the Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, that would be the wise choice. That would be the wise choice. And so, all kidding and jokes aside, though, I disagree about Wong Chu not being a stakeholder, and I'm going with Zaheen with the question of appeasement, just because at the end of the day, within that Tales of Suspense, he's the warlord, right? So at any point, this dude, he has the as the project sponsor, and I completely agree with that comparison. He has the ultimate authority to kill the project, and in this case, this would be being like, "Yo, Tony, we're gonna take a walk," and by walk, I mean permanent.
Kill the project and the developer.
Bingo, right? That's it.
Two birds with one stone.
Permanently, my guy, this magical magnet in your chest is out.
I am having.
Put you in an MRI machine.
Yeah, we're gonna take you. You're gonna take a permanent dirt nap, my guy.
I'm having a multiversal moment of Wong Chu going, "Nah, son."
Yeah, exactly.
The Vietnamese lord saying, "Nah, son."
It's it. This is over. So I think in my mind I disagree with you because I'm going with Zaheen with the question of appeasement.
Okay.
Where he's not building this. He's not building this for Wong Chu, right? It's for him and Ho Yin Se. But Tony knows in the back of his mind, this dude's going to be asking questions at some point. So
And that's another beautiful tease for a later episode, because we're going to talk about the moment in the movie when Raza, who is the Wong Chu of his date and time, so to speak, actually goes into the cave mid-development and sees the blueprints
Yep.
for the Iron Man armor.
Dun dun dun.
And what a moment.
Yep. Knock, knock, knock. Where's my stuff? Right? Like, that's it.
All right. Last stakeholder, and this one I think is also open to interpretation, but I wanted to include him because I'm a Jeff Bridges fan.
Yeah.
I go back to early '80s Starman.
Oh, I never saw Starman. I don't know that one.
Even Against All Odds, which was a little over my head as a 13-year-old, because I was like, he was a professional football player, but he's involved with the owner's wife. Okay, it was weird to me. It was very difficult to put together. But Obadiah Stane.
I agree with that.
And I included him in the discussion of stakeholders because that shaved head beard look.
That was clean.
Magical.
That was a clean look for him. That was a clean look.
I mean, if I could look so majestic.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that look, you might as well tattoo silverback on your forehead. Right?
Well, the magic of that look is that you don't need to.
Thank
It's
you.
implied.
Right? It would detract from it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Too obvious to get the
It would be.
silverback tattoo on your forehead?
It would be.
Would it be more subtle if it was like, in collegiate lettering on both arms, silverback?
Either that or like given the fire suits that he wore and the cufflinks, like you just put silver on one cufflink and back on the other. Just subtle. It's the details. It's the little things.
Carlo, you disagreed with me a moment ago, but I dig your style, dude.
Hey, thank you, my
I
guy.
dig.
And you know what? Mediation, not needed. They're still friends.
We're trending upwards. We're
And I told you she would live up to expectations without doing anything. She did something.
There it is.
You're welcome.
So Obadiah, aside from being a silverback, aside from being a captain of industry, I call him a stakeholder because he is looking to inherit the technology after Tony's developed it. And that goes back to our discussion earlier about the people who become stakeholders that you don't really know about. And if he wasn't ever mentioned in the movie and wasn't the main, behind the scenes bad guy that was actually supplying the weapons to Raza and the Ten Rings and didn't eventually become the Ironmonger, that Tony eventually defeated at the end of the movie. Oops, spoiler alert.
Wee woo, wee woo.
There it is.
Spoiler alert. Wee woo, wee woo.
He's inheriting the technology, and he's in other words, in some way, Tony's got to know, if I get out of here with this miniaturized arc reactor that I've just created, while wink wink nod Raza, I'm working on a Jericho missile for you. Psych.
Yep.
Or as the kids today would say, nah, son.
Yeah.
He's got to know that if he gets home, he's still Tony Stark of Stark Enterprises, which is also sort of heavily involved with Obadiah Stane, who helped build Stark Industries with Howard Stark. So he's got to know that Obadiah is going to want to get his hands on this because this is a profit center. Yes, I used a business term, which I don't think I would ever use in my real life in any other capacity, but let's roll with it.
Yeah. But then question for you, because remind me again in the movie, and then Zaheen, had you ever seen the first Iron Man movie?
The answer is no.
Okay.
I feel like Zaheen's lived it to some extent.
It's okay, Zaheen.
Yeah, I'm actually my own life's Tony Stark in the way.
Gotcha.
That's how I've lived it.
So you have your own arc reactor. That's cool. That's excellent.
I didn't really want to socialize that because
It's
it's a little dangerous.
Your secret's safe with us.
It's
Us
again,
and all the listeners.
Yeah,
we'll come back to the concept of the MVP, but I think Zaheen's is still in the MVP stage, so it's not for broad disbursement yet.
Gotcha. So then remind me again, with Obadiah Stane, was he also on the board of Stark Enterprises, or was he
Yes.
just in the senior leadership, like the C-suite essentially?
Yeah, he was on the board, and he becomes the
Bingo.
acting CEO in lieu of Tony when everyone thinks Tony's dead.
I remember that part, but I forgot about the board inclusion. Okay, got you. Okay,
Actually,
gotcha.
I have a follow up to that. Are they? my ignorance is showing here. Are they
Your,
seen
no,
as
your enthusiasm for the subject
My
that you have not
enthusiasm-
previously explored.
exactly my enthusiasm to learn about something that I don't know about? Are they seen as enemies? So, well, that's the first question. Are they seen as
Rivals.
enemies? Rivals, I guess,
think
is the
it's-
question.
yeah.
Okay. So then maybe that is how we consider Obadiah a stakeholder, in that Tony wants to build something that Obadiah won't want. So he could be like, this is mine. You don't need this.
So
Stay
I'm
away.
interested. That's a great question. I'm interested in your take because I have an answer to that, but I'm interested
Aw.
in what you think.
We care.
Then
We care
anyone
about what
watching
you
on
have to
video
say.
can see I'm blushing. Well, so I think starting from the idea of are they rivals, not initially, or at least not as it's superficially presented in the movie.
Okay.
But the undercurrent of the movie that becomes more and more apparent is, yes, Obadiah sees Tony and his recklessness, his lack of dependability as a threat to Stark Industries, which is therefore is a threat to his professional standing, his stake in the company, his legacy, etc. So I don't think Tony sees Obadiah as a rival. I think he sees Obadiah as substitute Howard, so parental figure. But Obadiah definitely sees Tony as a rival.
So this is like one of those like Mad Men, like, oh, I hate you. Oh, I don't even think about you type of situations, or no?
Never watched Mad Men, so I'm just gonna go with the premise of your question, if that's okay. Not exactly. It's more like Tony can't conceive of Obadiah as a bad guy because he's Howard's partner, so he's known Obadiah Tony's entire life. And he's the substitute for Howard now that Howard's passed. So he's a father figure in a lot of ways to Tony.
Oh, okay.
Whereas Obadiah again sees Tony as a wild card, potential threat to the entirety of Stark Industries because he's so crazy and follows his own muse. But certainly by the end of the film, or as we get closer to the end of the film, and Obadiah's sort of behind the scenes machinations of selling arms to Raza, putting Tony in harm's way to get him out of the picture, as that becomes more revealed, and then Tony figures everything out. Well, really, Obadiah sort of reveals it to him.
Yep.
Like, oh, by the way, I'm the one that set all this in motion, and I'm killing you in the process. So,
Exactly.
See ya. Then Tony sees, oh God, this guy that I trusted, who I believed in, who I saw as a father figure, is actually undercutting me. Literally wants to kill me, and therefore I have to defeat him.
Okay.
So to go back to the idea that concept of the stakeholder that you presented in that context, I don't think Tony would see Obadiah as someone that he wants to keep the technology from.
Okay, I see.
Because there, at least in the movie, again, the arc reactor technology is something that exists within Stark Industries already. Tony's technological leap that he makes, to quote Obadiah from the movie, in a cave with scraps.
And the guy's like, well, I'm not Tony Stark.
And that's also Peter Billingsley from Christmas Story. Yes, that Peter Billingsley,
and he also was
nephew of Barbara Billingsley from Leave It to Beaver, or is he the grandson?
I don't know that relationship, but I didn't put together that it was Peter Billingsley. And then also, sidetrack, I believe he was also part of Jake Gyllenhaal's Simon Beck
Exactly.
crew.
That's how they reveal.
Spider-Man, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Right? That was not the official title, but hey, cool. Spoiler. Wee, woo, wee. So he's like, what is happening right now?
Zaheen's like, okay, movie night is going to suck.
Yeah, she's like, who are these people?
because now we're revealing all the secrets of the movie, so she's going to watch them like, okay, I already know what's going to happen. Why am I doing this?
Exactly.
Also, I heard Jake Gyllenhaal, and listen, we're a Swiftie podcast. We do not support Jake Gyllenhaal here. I'm putting my foot down. My fist down.
So something, I don't know what that means, but I believe it's important.
It's okay. We'll talk.
Okay,
We'll talk.
okay.
Let's cast your mind back to one of the most famous Kanye West moments.
Which was?
one
Taylor,
where-
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah.
When she's saying a Swiftie podcast, we're referring to Taylor Swift
Ah, okay.
and her
Okay.
relationship with Jake Gyllenhaal, who's
Okay.
not considerably older, but at that time I think would have been a little
It-
not age appropriate
Well,
for
I
her.
think it was exactly. I think it was 11 years age gap,
Yeah.
and Taylor was 20. 20 turning 21 because he didn't show up to her 21st birthday because he's terrible.
Okay.
But anyway.
so there's
This is a whole other podcast series that we
so
can.
what
we
this
can
means
kick
is
off.
so there are levels to this.
There are levels to
Okay.
this.
there
Oh
are
yes,
levels.
absolutely.
Okay. Is this bonus content? Our discussion of Swifties?
Well,
Let me tell you guys about Taylor Swift, but you have to subscribe.
by the way, I love the idea of Zaheen as Howard Stern. Let me tell you something.
So yeah, so your question was great and everything that Sean told you about Obadiah. Yes, I completely agree with it. The only thing that I'd say the only thing where Sean and I like slightly diverge is that
Like two woods in the night.
basically exactly.
There are two paths in the woods. Sorry.
Two roads.
the Robert
two
Robert
roads in a
Frost.
yellow wood.
Yes.
Is that what
the
you're?
Robert Frost? Yeah.
Two roads diverge in a yellow wood.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I invited literate people to
And
do
it's
this
like
podcast.
I took
with
the
me.
one less traveled, and that
Yeah,
has made all
oh,
the difference.
Yes.
I had to memorize that poem in the 7th grade, and I did a very bad job of it.
Well, clearly not,
But
because
hey,
you still remember it.
Look
Well,
at
I got
you
the
now.
first line. That's all I have. I'm a fraud. I'm a fraud.
Don't tell people.
Just kidding. I know all of it.
Don't let them know.
Don't ask me, but I know it. Trust me.
And so I'd say the only like I completely agreed with most of what Sean said about like yes, Tony there was no part of his mind that viewed him as a rival. Obadiah definitely saw him as a threat, due to his recklessness. And then the only thing that I would differ with that is that I did feel, at least the way that I viewed the relationship, the way the movie portrayed it, I definitely did feel like, to some extent, Obadiah felt like Tony was dangerous for two reasons. Not only the recklessness, right, but like that leap he made with the arc reactor. There were parts in the movie where he's like, dude, let me have my people take specs on this thing. And he's like, nah, goodbye. And so, in my opinion, I thought there was a part of Obadiah that's like, yo, not only is this dude like just reckless and he's dangerous, but like he did something extraordinary and he's not even letting me, who took care of things while he was gone, like have people look at it.
So he feels shut out.
So I
Yes.
thought there was a second part of that. But yeah, so that's like the only slight divergence. You know what I mean? But like everything that Sean said about in Tony's mind before the big reveal, there was no blip in his world where he thought they were rivals. 100% co-sign that. 100%.
Makes sense.
And this is this is the beauty of our little triumvirate here is we can disagree, but then we can agree and disagree and agree and agree to disagree. It's all friendly, and that's what we want to bring everyone in to do, to join the conversation. Everyone's opinions will be respected, unless, of course, you're doing terrible things to children or invading European countries, etc., or any countries anywhere. They don't have to just be European. But yeah, we want to invite everyone, whether you agree with us or disagree. You're part of the conversation. You are part of. Wait for it. The Manufictioners Club. So that's episode 1, where we get an introduction to stakeholders, who they are, why they are, how they are. I guess that's a stakeholder. So episode 2. And we've teased it a little bit, but in episode 2, we're going to get into the actual context of the creation of the technology, the development. So we know who's doing what, we know why they're doing it. But let's get into, in episode 2, how they set about that project. What spurs them on? What's the context? So, having arrived here, we're going to say, see you in episode 2, same bat time, same bat channel.
Nope, I missed that one.
Doesn't matter. We'll do it
You'll-
again in episode 2.
There'll be more episodes.
I'll get it next time. I'm
There'll-
sorry, everyone.
there'll
I'm sorry to let you down.
There'll be more bat channels. You'll be fine.
Okay, okay.
Zaheen has never let me down. Club members, you'll learn that. She will not let you down.
I promise. I promise.
All right. Well, let's come right back and do episode 2. Yeah? Let's come right back and do episode 2. Okay. 1 episode down. I feel like it's a good time to get ready for episode
You
2.
feeling good? You feeling
Yeah.
energized? Feeling
Let's do it.
warm?
All right, so everybody change shirts, hydrate, get some food if you have to. We'll see you in episode 2.
Bye.
See you, folks.
So, Jake G just made his first appearance in the Manufictioners Club. Welcome. But it was not as Quentin Beck. Sorry, Jake. I know that's how you got into the MCU, but this is a different MCU, and so you came in as yourself. So I think it might be a good time for everyone to let us know your favorite Jake G movie or favorite moment of his relationship with Taylor Swift. Use it to cleanse your palate before we start episode 2.